How to get the funding to start your own business. Are you looking to start your own business, but you're not sure where to get the money from? Are you done with the rat race and you're committed to going out on your own, but you need capital to get your business off the ground? If you're not sure what your options are for funding your new business, you are in the right place. Because in this video, I'm gonna share how to get the funding to start your own business. Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, my name is CourtneyLSanders. I'm an online life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things. And in this video, I am so excited to talk to you about business funding. This is one of those things where I'm like, oh my goodness, if I would have known about this sooner, I would have avoided so much heartache, and I feel like I would be even further than I am now, and I would make even more money than I am now. So if you are just getting started in your business, you're in for a treat because this information is priceless and is really going to help you. So I wanted to talk about business funding because most of us think that we have to fund our businesses ourselves. And so I'll talk about the different ways that we can fund our businesses ourselves, but we can also fund our businesses with other people's money, right? So I'm getting ahead of the video, but yeah, there's so many different ways to fund your business, and there are so many different advantages to funding your business with these different strategies. So if you're ready to get the capital to grow your own business, or maybe you're like, wow, I really want to grow my business, but I just don't got the money, you know, my pockets are empty, have no fear. That doesn't mean that you're counted out, right? You can still start your own business, make it successful, and generate revenue from that. And so we'll get into the strategies for funding your business right now. All right, so like I mentioned in the intro, there's two ways that you can fund your business. You can fund it with your own money and you can fund it with other people's money. So first, let's talk about the ways that you can fund it with your own money. All right, one of the first ways that you can fund your business is with your first investor, which is what I like to call your job, right? So many of us forget that our jobs can be our first investor in our business, even if they don't realize it, right? So that paycheck that you're getting every 2 weeks, look at your budget, move some things around, cut some things out, but you wanna start creating some cushion where you can use that money to invest in your business. Even if it's something as simple as $200 every paycheck, or $50 every paycheck, whatever you have, you want to get in the habit of investing in your business on a consistent basis, because every little bit helps. And so the more you invest, whether it's equipment for your business, maybe you're saving up for a laptop or for a camera, or working in a course or with a business coach or something, any little bit that you can set aside from your paycheck is going to help you. So I know when I was working in corporate America, I was like, my job is my investor. They don't realize it, right? And so I made a commitment that a certain portion of my paycheck was going to go to me growing my business. So think of your job. Your job can be your first place where you can get the funding to grow your business. All right, so in addition to taking money out of every paycheck in order to start your own business, obviously you have your savings. And this is what most people think of when they think about funding their business. They're like, I gotta dip into my savings in order to, get this business off the ground. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Our savings are there, yes, for emergencies, but it should also be there in order to grow, right? And to purchase assets and to get into different business development opportunities. And so many of us weren't taught that, but that is a part of financial literacy. Many of us were taught that you make the money, you put some aside, you save it for a rainy day, and that's it. But you have to make sure that your money is working for you. I'm not just talking about investing in stocks or buying real estate, even though those are amazing things that you should definitely do and things that I do as well. But I wasn't able to really do those things, right? Invest in stocks and invest in real estate until I first invested in me and invested in my business. So make your money work for you, take some of those savings and invest it in your business, because then you'll get a return that you can then leverage to get even greater returns and even more revenue. So your savings can be part of your funding to start your business. All right, still on the subject of using your own money, but one thing that we often don't think about that we can leverage in order to start our businesses is our assets, right? So we talked about our paycheck, we talked about our savings, but many of us have assets set aside that we can tap into, right? Did you know that you could take out a loan against your 401k, that you can borrow against your 401k, and you could use that for different things? Many people use that for hardships, if, again, rainy day or they lose their job or something like that. But why not, if you're gonna take a loan against your 401k, why not do it to invest in your business? Additionally, when we talk about assets, you might have things sitting in your closet, sitting around your house. It doesn't have to be big assets, right? So maybe you do have some assets like a stock portfolio, maybe you wanna sell some of your your shares of Amazon, you know, because they've been going up lately. Maybe you want to sell some of those shares and get the cash out and then use that in order to start your own business. But it could be something as simple as your designer handbags. Do you have designer handbags in your closet? Do you have designer clothes or shoes in your closet? Do you have power tools in your garage? Whatever you have lying around the house, those can be considered assets that you can then sell and then use the money in order to invest in your business. So don't sleep on things that you have lying around the house. You would be surprised. I know for me, when I was looking to grow my business, and again, I was getting my business started fresh out of college and I was building it on the side, I looked at all these old textbooks that I had sitting around from school that I knew that I was never going to use again, and I paid $200 for many of these textbooks. And so, no, I wasn't able to get exactly what I paid for them, but I offloaded a lot of them, and some of those textbooks I got $80 for, $100 for, $120 for. You know, if you got 10 textbooks from, you know, previous semesters, that's a good chunk of change that you can then use to start your own business. All right, I'm gonna get into the strategies of using other people's money in a minute, but first I wanna hear from you. How are you getting funding to start your own business? Share in the comments below. All right, now let's get into using other people's money, right? OPM. There's a few ways that you can do this. So most entrepreneurs, after they have exhausted what they can take out of their paycheck and they've exhausted what they had from savings and they've sold everything that wasn't bolted down in their house, then when it comes to using other people's money, they go to friends and family, right? So friends and family are an option to, you know, get the funding to start your business, but it's not my favorite path, right? Oftentimes our friends and family love us, they want to support us, but oftentimes they're not really our target market. They don't always understand our business and what our vision is. And things can just get muddy when you're borrowing money from friends and family. So as a personal rule, it's something that I try not to do. I haven't had to borrow money since college, right? I borrowed money from my parents, which was basically like they gave me money, but you know, I was like in my early 20s and was broke and had no money. But since then, I haven't had to borrow money from my family, because just in general, it's something I try to avoid because it muddies the water, and I don't like how borrowing money from friends and family can change the relationship. However, I do have friends that have borrowed money from grandparents or aunts and uncles who were super supportive and they knew what they were getting into and they believed in the vision of the business. So that is an option. So if you have a very supportive family, then you might want to consider borrowing money from your friends and family. All right, but if you're not gonna go that route, another option that you can consider are grants. Now, grants are great, but I don't necessarily recommend grants because they can be difficult to obtain and they're not always available. So the cool thing about a grant is, unlike what we've been talking about with borrowing money from friends and family, you're not borrowing the money, right? It's a grant. It's something that you are getting for free. Once you get this money from whatever institution, it is literally, you know, a gift to you, to your business, and you can use it in whatever way you want as it comes to investing in your business. So oftentimes different foundations, different nonprofits, or even large corporations, for instance, I know Verizon has a small business grant, will often give grants to help you start your business. The catch though is these grants usually are targeted to a certain demographic. So it might be grants for women entrepreneurs or grants for minority entrepreneurs. And also there's typically not that many grants available, right? So there might be one grant that they issue every year, or one grant that they issue every 6 months, or 3 grants that they issue every year. So while we love the idea of getting free money from, you know, these different institutions in order to help us start our business, we could be waiting a long time if we're waiting for somebody to issue us a grant. So you might want to look around. You can Google or go on different websites to see what grants you might be eligible. Feel free to apply to those, but you know, don't hold your breath. You might get one, but if you don't, you still need to fund your business, which is why I recommend the next strategy. All right, the last resource that you can use to fund your business that no one talks about, and I didn't know until I had been in business for several years, is credit, particularly business credit. Business credit is really fantastic. I'm just mind blown that we're not taught this in school. So just as you have your personal credit profile, your business can develop its own credit profile and you can begin borrowing money on behalf of your business. And the best thing about this is most of the time, the money that you borrow for your business does not show up on your personal credit. So if you're still working your your 9-to-5 job and you're doing different things and you're like, oh, you know, I don't want to mess up my personal credit. If you establish this correctly and you get your business credit off the ground, then it's not really going to bleed over into your personal credit. And oftentimes it won't even show up unless you default on your business loan. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get business credit. One of my favorite ways is to get business credit cards because they often have travel and reward points. So I've literally traveled all over the world using different rewards points from my business credit cards. In fact, I have an upcoming trip to the Middle East that I'm really excited about, that I was able to get 2 business class tickets for my husband and I to go simply just by using my business credit cards, again, to fund my business. So when you're just getting started, even if you have a brand new business, as long as you have an LLC, and I talk about this in another video that you can check out here, which are all the things you must know before you create your LLC. But as long as you have an LLC, oftentimes you can find business credit card companies that will extend credit to you even if you're brand new. So I know for Chase, for example, as long as you have a decent credit score, even if your business is pretty new, I've seen them give business credit cards for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, which is great to get started, especially if you're starting a coaching business, where I also have a video that talks about how much it costs to start a coaching business. So check out those videos as well and really consider tapping into business credit. So there's business credit cards, there's business lines of credit, there's business loans. You can do a lot with that. So if you want me to do another video in depth about all the different ways that you can get business credit, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. But business credit is one of the best ways to fund your business when you're just getting started. Okay, so if you love these strategies, I have even more where this came from. In fact, I invite you to check out my free $1 Million Coaching Masterclass. This is a masterclass that I did not too long ago. You're gonna get instant access to the replay when you click the link below. And this goes over all the strategies that I've used to grow my business literally from zero, from scratch, to $1 million enterprise. So if you're thinking about getting into coaching and you're like, man, I would love to grow my coaching business to $1 million, go ahead and check out that $1 Million Masterclass right now. It's gonna give you all the strategies you need to grow your business. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait until my next video, don't forget to also subscribe to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, which is available on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait till my next video comes out and you can't wait till my next podcast episode, it's okay. You can check on me daily on my Instagram. I'm CourtneyLSanders on Instagram. Don't forget the L. Go ahead and leave a comment on my latest post and let me know that you watched this video. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.